Welcome to Biztech Startup Show, the show where we feature startup companies operating across the Asia-Pacific region, talking about the solutions and how they make a difference. Today, we speak to Sean Rock. He's the co-founder at Hi. Hi is the next generation crypto and fiat currency services platform that leverages blockchain technology to build services that are community-powered. Now, Sean, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Brian. Really glad to be here.
Now, Sean, before we start, you've had a very interesting career path leading to the co-founding of Hi. Now, tell us about your journey, starting with your time at the Naval Academy at Annapolis.
You have done some research, yes. I did go to school at Navy, so we always would say beat Army. But no, it was a great experience. Really, an opportunity to learn about leadership and learn a lot about engineering early on, computer science, a range of different things. And at the same point, I was a political science major. So international relations kind of began to get into my blood and my understanding of the world. The Navy was great to me. Let me choose my first duty station, which actually turned out to be in Japan. So I was on a ship in and out of Japan for about 3 years, and then I moved to another ship that was based in the Mediterranean. And during that time, I got to do a number of things, and maybe something that's germane, a little bit amusing, is that one of the roles I had was as a communications officer. And in the Navy, communications is very important. And one of the things is I'm probably one of the few people in cryptocurrency that actually has handled cryptographic equipment and cryptographic material. I've known about crypto for a long time.
And then after that, how did you transition out of the Navy?
Yeah. So it was a great experience, especially for a young person. But I was ready to make a transition to the civilian world, and I went to business school at Thunderbird in Arizona, and that was a great experience. Again, with a global mindset and the opportunity to potentially build my career outside of the U.S. Initially, I did graduate and was part of the founding team for Hallmark.com, which at one point was, believe it or not, a top 10 e-commerce website in the world, which was pretty amazing early days. I worked for Sprint, a telco, and then I had an opportunity to come to Asia and work full time, heading up the digital arm. At that time, it was called Interactive, the digital arm of Ogilvy. And so really a bit of a pioneer in the digital marketing space, and got a chance to really build a great experience with a range of different clients, a lot of financial services, a lot of telcos, a lot of those type of things. And then I had the opportunity to make a transition to go back to the client side with Prudential, ultimately making my way to be the regional CMO for Prudential. Got to spend some time all around the region, whether in Malaysia or Indonesia or Singapore, anywhere. It's a great experience. But there was one thing missing. Kind of kept scratching at me, and a friend had contacted me and said, "You keep talking about entrepreneurship. You've always been this guy trying to drive innovation. Do you really have the guts to go for it?" And there was an opportunity for a company at that time. It was called Monaco. Monaco became Crypto.com. I think a lot of people know Crypto.com, so I joined the team as the founding CMO, and it was a remarkable experience. Lots of credit to the team, some very smart strategies, and built it from almost having no customers to about 3 million. And then it was time. I think COVID kind of got to many people, but it was for me, after about 2.5 years of a great ride, time to take a break and take stock of things. So I did that. I guess now we're calling it sabbatical or hiatus, whichever way you want to look at it. But it was an opportunity to look back at things. And I guess it came to me a bit of a touchstone, which was I'm very passionate about financial services, and in particular financial literacy, something that I worked with very strongly with Prudential, creating a kids television show to teach them about financial literacy. And then I kind of got involved with fintech and understanding how a startup works and all those things. And so now it was a chance to say, well, is there something that's going to pull me in to make it worthwhile? And I guess for us, there was an opportunity came about. The idea that, hey, sending money should be as easy as sending a text. That idea has been there for a long time, but nobody was actually doing it. And so we started having some discussions, and it got more and more interesting. And ultimately, we built what is now known as Hi. We have a great URL, hi.com, and a pretty different proposition in terms of how to get people on board using very simple chat apps, and then migrating them when they're ready for more services to our mobile app. But maybe I'll stop there, and that's kind of the journey that has led us to where we are today.
So tell us, drill down a little bit about Hi and what you are really trying to solve in terms of problems.
Yeah, well, I think it is a big problem. I think one of the problems that people have is, the management of their money. Where in this world can you earn a yield, for example? We've had zero interest rates for extremely long time, and cryptocurrencies offer something like that. The challenge is how to do it in a compliant way, how to do it in the right way, so that you're able to provide a user experience that's friendly and accessible, but at the same time, something that is powerful. And that's really what we've been working to build. So initially, we started off with, it's very simple. You go to hi.com, you can use my invite code /Sean. You pick Telegram or WhatsApp and click on that. It will redirect you to your Messenger app. And right away, you just simply confirm your phone number, pick a nickname, and you become a member. And we'll reward you with your first crypto. It's that simple. The idea is, how do we get people to at least get their first crypto? The next part of it is really related to, how do we build a huge community? Our vision, our mission is to build a very large community. And when we say that, and I'm not kidding, though it sounds crazy, is 1 billion. That's the number of members that we're shooting towards. Is to say, how can we make that possible? Well, you do it by probably the most powerful, and this is a guy who spent his career in marketing. One of the most powerful ways to do that is through word of mouth, a friend referring another friend, and inviting people in. And that's how we built our entire platform. So now, just a little over 9 months since we launched, we're already past 3 million members globally. We're in something like 170 different countries. And so it's been pretty gratifying to see that. And then what we've been doing is we've been building the products on the platform as we've gone. So now we have about 200 million US dollars worth of funds under management. And that's really in a yield product that allows people to have capability to earn, maybe it's 8%, 10% or more on a stable coin. They can, if they get involved with our high dollar, if they purchase our high dollar and become a member, they can earn even more. And so the idea is, how do you make this possible? And the fact of the matter is, it's not a bank branch, it's your mobile phone. And I think, neobanks have kind of cracked part of it, and they've kind of went one direction to try and, bridge that gap. But at the same point, they've missed a whole problem. One of the biggest problems in financial services is the nature of businesses. And businesses are motivated by profits. And what we looked at a real opportunity to do is to try to turn this around. Could we design and create a business where the actual proceeds, the benefits of the platform actually accrue back to the users, either directly or indirectly? Directly, it could be a benefit, it could be a perk, it could be a better interest rate on their deposits. But it could also be something where you may or may not know, there's a large cryptocurrency exchange named Binance, and what they do is they take 25% of their profits, they go into the market and they buy their token, and then they burn the token. And so what they do is they constrain the supply. So when you look at all of these things and you say, well, what if a company, and this is a bold idea, what if a company from the get-go decided that that was the intention, is to go that direction, but even more so? Now, what does this all become? It's become a buzzword, which we didn't even know people were using. A buzzword is called Web3 or Web 3.0. And the idea is that moving away from the centralized digital platforms that we have today, whether you think of Facebook, Instagram, those type of things, or even Spotify, instead decentralizing it and putting the power back and the control back into the member, in our case, we call our folks members, the members' hands. And so I think that is quite a different proposition when you can compare it to maybe a financial services firm where, they're doing good work and helping, but their back of their mind is, what's that fee that I can charge? What will I report to my shareholders in terms of the profits that we've extracted? Our approach is to help you make money, not make money off of you. Okay, so I think that comes across quite differently when people get to understand what we're about.
Okay, then what is your business model then? Because obviously your ethos then, as you say, is to help the members make money. So how do you make money?
Yeah, I think the thing to keep in mind is, how much money do you need to make? And if you're not in a situation where you're feeling like you need to pay yourself a big bonus and build a big building, then a lot of the costs go away, especially if you look at financial services in terms of the retail footprint. Digital companies don't have to go that way. So
Yes.
our approach is that we offer the very best pricing we can offer. Obviously, we have to cover our costs and we're going to generate some surplus. But what we do with that surplus, just like a company can choose to either reinvest back into the business or they can pay out a dividend. In our case, we're reinvesting in the business and building the business. And it can be either through as I said, adding more benefits that make the high dollar, our token, more valuable to our members, because by owning it, they then move up in tiers of membership. These are the ways that we can, make a business that's sustainable.
Now, Sean, what you mentioned you're spread out all over the world. What regulatory frameworks govern you?
That's a very good question. I think from the get-go, there's a couple kind of global components that are going on with regards to especially anti-money laundering, knowing your customer, those type of things. And so what we did was looking at that. Compliance is kind of core to our business. In fact, our first employees were focused on compliance.
So that's your credential training coming in, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say the risk management must have gotten injected into me. But by all means, understanding that needs to be first and foremost, because otherwise then you're not going to be able to be a sustainable business. So by all means, looking at the solutions that are available today that allow people to verify someone's identity, to do background checks, and to sanction checks, all of those things, is much more advanced than it was even 3 years ago. And so for us to look at that, it was like, okay, let's find a best-in-class partner to help us with that. Put that in place. Then you're seeing a lot of regulations, whether it's last week, the week before, whether it's India is changing their mind, or Thailand opens up, or another country is putting their licensing regime. These are all things that we have to spend time with and go through. So we do have friends in the legal profession who have to help us to figure out exactly the right ways. What we have done so far is that in Europe, we have been able to obtain a license. And so we're working there, but we know that this is not something that is a one and done type of thing. It's an ongoing process. And the fact of the matter is, we talk with our employees, our staff, nearly daily. It's not just, okay, hey, let's do some video training. You have to have a compliance mindset, and we definitely have that in mind.
Now, I want to talk about High Play, which you launched recently. Tell us about that and what's the feedback so far?
Yeah, well, thanks for that. I don't know if your viewers or listeners are aware of the idea that one of the developments that happened, and it wasn't in our original business plan. Can be upfront about that. We were focused very much on a lot of getting the basic financial services done right away, which is what we have been doing. But then something came along that was quite interesting, which was the idea of casual games and what they call play to earn. So using cryptocurrency, you have an opportunity to make it a little bit more interesting where parties can come together and it's powered by our token that they can play a number of casual games and they obviously can, they pay with the token and they can earn some of the token. And so this has been quite interesting. Maybe I'll pause for a moment and as this is a startup show, maybe kind of highlight something that I think is very important for startups. When we did this, we started with one game. It was called High Flyer, and it was a test and learn. And so we launched it. There were some things that were wrong, and we had to fix them. And then from that, we got a lot of good feedback. Hey, I'd like to score to do this. Hey, how do you offer this? What kind of information can we provide? How do we make it clear for folks? And so we took all of that on board, and then we rolled out just towards the end of the year the High Play platform, which is actually 10 games. So the ability to launch something, I think one of the things that makes the cryptocurrency or the blockchain space just beyond remarkable is the community. And I think this was the part that really makes a difference is that the community is not shy about giving you feedback. I'll just put it that way. If you do something right, you'll hear about it a little bit. If you do something wrong, you'll definitely hear about it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's been the part that's been great. I think what we've seen is people like the variety. We've tried to offer a range of different games. We have seen that there are still some things that need to be tweaked to make it better, and we hope to build on this platform. There is a jargon, there's a term called GameFi. So this idea of your cryptocurrency being used in gaming, and it relates to the developments of the metaverse and all of the elements that are coming down the pipe. But for us, when we first saw it, it was like, hey, there's something that we had some team members who were already passionate about this. And so that's why they got to kind of come up with that one game. And then from that, we saw something that made it a bit bigger. And so I think that as an entrepreneur, you sometimes see that. And I think in fintech, that's been probably one of the hallmarks that I've seen is your ability to launch something and then improve it and polish it and make it better and doing it with the community's input. It's been fantastic.
So Sean, you touched on the metaverse. Play to earn is a hot trend right now, metaverse as well as NFTs. Could you kind of give us some insights on what you see are big trends and how that's going to impact you?
Sure. I think maybe I'll use this again for your audience. There was a very interesting podcast I was listening to where Chris Dixon from Andreessen Horowitz used an analogy, which was he was happened to come across one of the original Apple ads, Apple computer, so probably like the Apple II. And so the image that was in the ad was that of a family putting their recipes from recipe cards into the computer. And that's what they thought the computer was going to be used for. Okay, so just kind of put that in your brain. I think that may be a suitable analogy to what we know of the metaverse. By all means, Meta Platforms, Facebook, has come out with this Horizon Video, whatever. And to be honest with you, and I think most people saw it. It looked a lot like Second Life or one of these other virtual reality type of things. Yeah. Maybe the Oculus.
Second Life and Second Life is something that's been around for over a decade. Yeah. But it's still around even, yeah.
So I look at that and I say, maybe that's the recipe cards that we're thinking that's where it's going to go. I'm pretty sure it's not going to go there. I think that's the part that is probably most interesting, is that you consider the amount of brain power and the amount of capital that's being applied. People are looking for new opportunities in new ways. And so I guess what I would say is not to bridge completely away from the metaverse, but back to the Web3 idea, and then I'll
Mhm.
bring it back. I think really the opportunity is that what we're already seeing, and NFTs have shown this, and other parts are centralized services, whether it's a Spotify, a YouTube, an Instagram. All of these things are taking someone's intellectual property and putting it on a platform, and they may or may not be compensated. In the case of YouTube or Spotify, artists might get a little bit, or a YouTuber might get a little bit back. In the case of Instagram, Facebook, all of those social media platforms, you put your life out there, and then they sell ads around it. And it's like, oh, but you didn't get any of that. I think as we move to the metaverse, the idea will be that if you are decentralizing this away from a centralized authority, and there's still need for people to communicate and connect and do commerce and do all of those things, but can it be done in a different way? And I think that's where it will become much more interesting. So it may have an interface that is somewhat like a Second Life or this Horizons, but hopefully it will be something even better. I think Second Life really struggled on usability. It was it was a little bit too many things to manage versus what am I actually able to do? And is I think people want to have something that's seamless and easy to work with. If it's too bitsy and bobsy, if you can't do it on your mobile phone, you're probably not going to do it. So I think when we look at it, what we see our space is, we see that opportunity with regards to, the financial side of it first and foremost. We see the opportunity that NFTs can provide a whole range of things. Not only the fact that an NFT might have could be a piece of art like we've been seeing, but it could be that it actually has a specific benefit with it. And so if you are in possession of that NFT, then it gives you access to something, or whatever it could be. So I think there's a whole range. And then how does that provide a gateway into a virtual reality world where people are communicating and collaborating in ways that we've seen the technology, we just haven't cracked it yet. And I think now that we have broadband, now that we have graphic cards, all these things, all of the technology is there. Now we have to put it together. And I guess that's the part that gets us so excited, is that we're clear to ourselves, our journey towards that, and progressive decentralization is very important. But I think that's still maybe 18 months away, that we will be able to begin to see something that's coming out of it. And so that the metaverse is more than just some buzzword, but actually something that people can start to actually comprehend. But unless it solves a problem and helps to drive people down something that's a better experience, I think we're going to be back in the Second Life zone.
Now, what's next on Hyatt's roadmap in terms of expansion?
Sure. I think for us, maybe the way to think about it at first is what's the economic environment, and what's the overall environment first, and then what are we working on? I think first and foremost, you have a lack of trust with traditional financial institutions. While the news media want to cover, a hack of, an exchange or something like that, if you actually look at it, it is a little bit daunting when you just Google the fines that banks have paid over the last few years. I mean, you can make it just 5 years. The amount is massive. So it's not that the cryptocurrency or the DeFi world is so, scary. Actually, the traditional financial institutions haven't helped themselves that much. Second of all, you've got probably the greatest part of marketing for the whole digital assets world has been the central banks, and their policies of zero interest rates have really pushed people to say, well, where can I get somewhere else? the next phase is really people are tired of what we call Web 2.0 and the centralization, whether it's Mark Zuckerberg or how Amazon is being seen as getting too big. I mean, these trillion-dollar companies. I think there is a space for that. And then we're starting to see obviously inflation. We're seeing a number of these things. So where can we come in and what can we do? And I think that is all about the fact that people are beginning to understand more and more, kind of back to a financial literacy thing. They want to control their money. They want to control their own identity. They want to control what is theirs. And technology should be that an enabler. And so when you look out there and say, what can what can be done in this space? I think it's wide open. I think for us, on our horizon, we're not short on product opportunities, by all means, whether it's allowing people to not only deal with the traditional services that they may have had. And I guess that's the difference that is for us, is that we're looking to offer both crypto and traditional currency services so that people can have their bank account tied to their digital wallet and then work together and have seamless on-ramps and off-ramps. This all has to be done in a compliant way, though. We're working very hard to offer a debit card. Initially, it'll be in Europe, but again, this is a payment capability that people are comfortable with. But as we move forward, it goes beyond that, and the opportunities could be all the way to, could we be offering a range of financial services, both traditional and otherwise, from cryptocurrency derivatives to stock trading. The whole opportunity is there. And that's before you start to look at even more of the decentralized opportunities, such as what they call dApps, the decentralized apps, and how we can provide further access to this. So try to wrap it up and make some sense. We're trying to grow a huge community, a community up to 1 billion people. If we're able to do that, the opportunity to then provide them with services that make a meaningful difference in their life is there. And doing it with the heartfelt attempt to say it should not be done with a profit or an extraction model. It should be looking at saying, how can we build this together? And I think that's the core difference of what we're about and what we're driving forward.
Now, Sean, it's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you very much for taking your time to come on the show.
Oh, my pleasure, Brian.
Thanks, Sean. We've been speaking to Sean Rock, the co-founder at Hi on Biztech Startup Show. I'm Brian Fernandez. This video and podcast will be on our various platforms as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. Please like and subscribe to our various platforms. Thanks a lot for tuning in.